Hello and welcome to Dimsy's Domain, and today we're going to be talking about and discussing the direction of Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains. Now hold up, we are not going to be talking or critiquing the current direction of Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains due to the fact that Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains has not been released, but what we are going to be discussing is the direction that we want and the person at the helm of Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains that would be most suitable in our opinions. Now I know you lot are experts down in the comment section down below, so comment below, who do you want to be in charge of Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, and what kind of show, what kind of direction do you want Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains to go in? Now with me today is none other than BYG Aigami. Make sure you subscribe to him, make sure you check out the videos on his channel regarding the news and discussions of Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains. Now before we continue, do you want to say a quick little hello?
Hello everyone. I want to say thank you, Dimsy, for having me, as well as guys, check out our Facebook and Twitter fan page regarding Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, as well as the previous discussion which sparked this video on the delay in Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, since it got delayed to May instead of the initial airing in April.
Yeah, and with that, that's also in the description down below. But let's talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains and the direction that we want it. Now I'm going to make it very clear cut here. I don't care, nor am I well versed enough regarding the people who are at the helm. I'm just going to give you my opinions regarding the directions in regards and relative to the other iterations, the other series of Yu-Gi-Oh! But before we continue, I'm going to ask you, BYG, who are the main few people who are in charge and responsible for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series of old, or what they've done in the past, and who would be most suitable? Well, actually not most suitable right now, but let's talk about all the people and what they've done before.
So basically there are three main people that are anime directors for Yu-Gi-Oh! But there's one head person, and we all know that person as Takahashi, the most notable person out of Yu-Gi-Oh! But the three minor people, the three heads below Takahashi, is Katatsuma Onna, Shin Yoshida, and Satoshi Kuwabara.
Alright, yeah, and we all know that Kazuki Takahashi is the creator of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game, so always give him credit where credit is due. Now one thing I want to tell all you guys is, no matter what these guys have done or haven't done, or what they've done wrong or right, give them the respect that they deserve, purely due to the fact that they've been engrossed in Yu-Gi-Oh! For quite a while, and they've been responsible for quite amazing moments, which, you know, a lot of you will treasure, a lot of you may not like as much, but I know enough people do enjoy it. So always give these people and these men the respect that they deserve. Now Kazuki Takahashi, we know that he is the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh! But how involved is he in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise regarding the anime?
So Takahashi he gave guidelines for Duel Monsters. He did, I would say, out of all the series, the spin-off series, GX, he did a lot of involvement as well. And then for 5Ds, he did a lot of involvement in the Fortune Cup. The first 26 episodes, he was heavily involved in that. But after that, he sort of fell off. But every 3 years, when a new Yu-Gi-Oh! Series does come out, a new installment, the head directors, the producers, have a little chat with Takahashi, and he sort of gives his ideas, and from there they get Takahashi's ideas and work around that. Now basic information about the designs, because Takahashi does do a lot of character designs. Like, he did draw Judai, he did draw Yusei, and I think he did draw Yuma. I don't know about Yuya.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he drew Yuya, but he drew all the other protagonists that preceded Yuya. So definitely Yugimoto, Yami, Yugi, Jaden Yuki, Yusei Fudo, and of course Yuma Tsukumo, who I absolutely hate because he's just a little, a 13-year-old chubby little toddler. I don't like him, man. I'm sorry. I digress.
So we don't know if he drew Yusaku, but it's most likely the case. Now there's a lot of speculation if he did draw Deko Talker, simply because it looks a lot like Dark Paladin, Buster Blader, characters that Takahashi drew in the original manga, and they look very similar. Deko Talker looks very similar to them. Now let's sort of break down the work that each of these individuals worked on. Onna did a lot of, Onna's doing all of Arc V, actually.
Oh, before you continue, I just want to quickly mention that the point regarding how they have a discussion with Takahashi, it's very similar to Toriyama, Akira Toriyama for Dragon Ball Super, where you have all these people such as Toyotaro as well as Toei Animation, who they have a little discussion with Toriyama. They have a little discussion with, for if they were to do One Piece, they have a discussion with Ichiro Oda. Now, all these people who are respectively head of their own franchises, when there's a spin-off or there's some sort of movie or even their own anime series, they have a in-depth discussion, and from there they get the inspiration. So they are the head, but they're more sort of a consultant. So they're not really completely in charge of the anime itself, but they are very influential. But yeah, sorry to cut you off. Continue.
Yeah, it's fine. So Ona, he did a few episodes in Yu-Gi-Oh! The first series, Duel Monsters. So he wasn't well known yet. He's sort of building his credibility up. And then he did most of 5Ds actually. And he did the final episodes, which in my opinion are really well. I think the final episodes of 5Ds are beautifully executed simply because each character gets their ending, they get their future as well.
That's one of his strengths. His strength is also to highlight the characteristics of each character, the protagonist especially with the ending few episodes of 5Ds, as you mentioned. I think that's one of his strengths. And when I found this out, I was like, wow, this guy is really damn good. He's really damn good.
And then the ambiguous, every Yu-Gi-Oh ending has an ambiguous factor to it. And the fact is that he did it well, because Yusei was gone for 8 years. We don't know what happened to Yusei. And that's the biggest tease, when we don't know what happens to the main character. And I don't know if he worked on Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, but he's the main current director for Arc 5. And this is sort of the falling point for Ona, because in Japan, Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 is widely received as negative. People hate on it. People trash on it. The Nico ratings give it like a 3% out of 100, I think, which is just horrible. Of course, they're trolling, and they all teamed up because they disliked one thing that Arc 5 did. But you guys get the gist. It's not well received. So most likely...
thing is, I do disagree with that, but we have to also remember that if it doesn't make it in Japan, it's not making it anywhere in the world. Japan is the initial hurdle. If it really doesn't work in Japan, do you think they're going to syndicate it worldwide? So everyone, please, if you do like Arc 5, like I do, I like Arc 5. I disagree with a lot of the things that people say, and maybe that's a discussion for another day. If any of you lot want to have a discussion, comment down below. I'll talk to you why I like Arc 5 more so than other people, how they hate Arc 5, Arc V, whatever you want to call it. And Ona, it is a fall from grace in terms of consistencies. Definitely consistency.
And when you look at it in a production way, you can have all the credibility built, but if you're doing something bad and it's negative in sales, you're instantly out of the picture. So for that reason, I think Ona's not going to be working on Vrains. But then we have the man, the legend, Shin Yoshida. Shin Yoshida basically did Season 4 and Season 5 of Duel Monsters. And all the respect goes to him simply because Season 4 of Duel Monsters is the Doma arc. People love it. People love Dart's characters. Season 5 was so low budget, and it was just doing bad because they weren't getting enough sales, because Memory World was actually in Egypt, so they couldn't do the card game aspect of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
Which ultimately led down to its cancellation. But he still pulled through and made it watchable. So I do respect Yoshida on that. He also worked on episodes 27 to 154 of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, which I would say are pretty good episodes. There are a few episodes, actually I would say there are a few arcs here and there in 5Ds that aren't well done. And he also did a few episodes of Zexal. And when you look at Zexal, it's the second most successful. And we'll talk about that when the next person we discuss about.
But that's the thing, for Yoshida, regarding his work in Zexal, the first what he done, if I recall, approximately 15 or so episodes, which were 1 to 10, and then he done 13 and 19. Before doing 48, 49 and 99 to my knowledge. But that first half he was responsible for. Go with the flow. I think that was a very poor opening for Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, in my opinion, although there was ambiguity with the Door of Zexal, the Door of Destiny, and of course the introduction of Astral. Those initial episodes were just so poor, but then also due to the fact that he's the director, he is still working with material which are kind of out of his control. Although with Yoshida, episode 49 and 99, which was the midpoint and more so the latter third of Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, was very good. So he is also very good, and the direction that he does is still a bit iffy to me. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. What was it called again?
No, one more thing. He worked on Bonds Beyond Time.
That's true.
He wasn't the director, but he was the screenwriter for Bonds Beyond Time. Now, there's a lot of hate towards Bonds Beyond Time. But it was well done for it being a plug. Bonds Beyond Time wasn't meant to be good story plot wise. It was meant to basically just advertise the shit out of 5Ds because the sales were dropping. So I give Yoshida the credit for that. But let's move on to the next person, and that is Satoshi Kuwabara. He is the third person out of the four that we listed, the head being Takahashi, so he doesn't really count as a person that's going to work for Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains. So hence him being the third person. But he worked on the fifth Yu-Gi-Oh! Series known as Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal. And when you look at the sales, Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal is right behind Duel Monsters in terms of popularity and sales and how well it was received. So for that, he is most likely going to be the person for Vrains. In addition to that, there was a Jump Festa translations from a user that was at the Jump Festa event, and they talk about how there's a lot of CGI in Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, and he also, Satoshi, worked on Dark Side Dimensions, and Dark Side Dimensions had a lot of CGI, especially its monsters like Gaia, Deep Eyes, Blue Eyes, Obelisk, Slifer, all these iconic monsters. And he did them well. He did them so beautifully, so detailed. So he's the best choice out of everyone I listed simply because he knows the grounds of CGI. He's directed a beautiful series known as Zexal. Hate the English dub, but the Japanese version is well received. A lot of the people in Japan, as well as a lot of you guys, love Zexal, its subbed version.
And let's talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains and the direction right now, because of the fact that from Kuwabara's previous work in Zexal, as well as Dark Side of Dimensions, where we saw the beautiful alternative white dragon, the thing is, we have to understand that due to link summoning and the whole VR link space that we're going to be introduced to in Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, you have to expect, it's just common sense, expect a lot of CGI. And with this CGI, who is the best person? And that is none other than Kuwabara. And that is why I completely agree that, okay, he has the experience, he has all the tools to be the ideal person for Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains. And if I would personally give my opinion, I want Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains to be very dark and a very story heavy, complex series. And the thing is, as much as I do not like the protagonist of Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, I cannot stand Yuma, subbed or dubbed. I think he's a poor character. The story of Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal is among the best. It is among the most intricate and just emotionally spine-tingling story that you have. It was genius, and if he is responsible for that, I think that he needs to work his magic and do it with Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains. When you saw Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, I remember at the time when the leaks were coming out, after Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, I was thinking to myself, how on earth are they going to top this? Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds was revolutionary. How are they going to top this? What direction are they going to take Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal? And it started off poor. I was like, what the hell is going on? But Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal 2, the second half of the series was just so damn good. And also with the introduction of the 7 Barian Emperors, I personally really did enjoy Vector. Vector was one of my favorite characters in Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, but that's because I do like these insane characters. So with Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, they have the opportunity, because it is a blank slate, and of course you cannot expect them to go all out crazy from the beginning. No one expected it for Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. No one expected it in Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal when they went insane and they went berserk a little bit later. These aspects are going to be introduced one way or another, and we know that there's a transformation that's going to take place with,
and that's very Zexal-esque, isn't it?
It is very Zexal-esque in terms of transformations. We see Yusaku Fujiki, he undergoes this transformation to be the playmaker in VR space, and you know what, that's a little tease right there, because there's going to be a video regarding all of this later on, so just make sure to check it out. But I'm just going to top off my thoughts by saying I like the direction that Kuwabara can implement, can show us through his previous work, and that's, you know what, that's the direction I want for Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains. They're going into this whole new link space, VR space, whatever you may call it, direction, and it's very similar to Astral World and the whole Barian world, and you have this potential for these parties to be warring in this new VR world, in this link space, and this could be implemented through the use of dueling. But I want a darker direction. I want it to be very story heavy from the get-go, and it seems that from what you've told me that Kuwabara is the ideal candidate for exactly that. Any final remarks regarding this video?
Nah, really nothing to say except for check out our other videos. There's a playlist that features all the collabs Dimsy and I have done in the past year or so, and there's a lot. Especially check out the video that we did about the best Millennium items. I think that deserves a lot of love. And also, there's a lot of funny moments in that video, but nah, that's basically it.
Yeah, you know what? Check out that discussion because it's a phenomenal discussion, if I do say so myself. But with that being said, check out BYG Aigami. He's done all the news that you need to know regarding Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, all these discussions as well. So he is your go-to guy for the news. And with that, subscribe if you do this, like, share, comment, and all that jazz. You may now exit Dimsy's domain. Thank you and goodbye.